In Sonic Adventure 2's last story segment, after Eggman successfully put the Yellow Chaos Emerald into the Eclipse Cannon, our heroes and villains are confronted with this.
I plan to give you a taste of my revenge once all the 7 Chaos Emeralds are collected. Once I initiate this program, it cannot be disabled. All of you ungrateful humans who took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair.
Gerald Robotnik, Eggman's grandfather, planned to destroy the Earth and all its inhabitants, for the death of his beloved granddaughter, Maria. The space colony Ark is entering collision course with the Earth. All of our heroes need to work together in order to save themselves and everyone on Earth. All of our heroes, except Shadow, who knew all along and was working along Gerald this whole time, to enact his plan of revenge, to fulfill Maria's wish, or so he thought. As Amy Rose approaches him and starts talking to him, her pure heart is able to get through Shadow.
Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me. For Maria! Future, for all people who live on that planet, give them a chance to be happy.
Once Shadow realizes he was wrong, he rushes to help our heroes. Meanwhile, after going through the cannon's core, our heroes are faced with a replica of the Master Emerald Shrine, but most importantly, a prototype of the ultimate life form, the Bio-Lizard, which Gerald uses as a final barrier to anyone who wants to potentially stop the space colony Ark to crash onto the Earth. This is when Shadow finally arrives and decides to play his part in saving the world. All of this context was important to understand the backing track that plays during this fight, Supporting Me. Which I believe is one of the great vocal tracks in Sonic Adventure 2. But today, I will not only look at the version present in Adventure 2, but also Sonic Force's version, which played during the level Virtual Reality, as well as the version featured in Shadow Generations for its iteration of the Bio-Lizard. We're gonna go through them one at a time, starting with the original Sonic Adventure 2 version. As stated earlier, Shadow is fighting Bio-Lizard as the song plays, and the lyrics are meant to be his thoughts. Unsurprisingly, the lyrics do not relate to the Bio-Lizard itself, but instead about him finally turning to the side of good. The line, can be faintly heard in the background, which relates to the current situation at hand. Not much left is time before the Ark finally crashes onto Earth. Shadow says goodbye to the darkness and asks Maria to lead him to the path of good, the promise he made to her. The second part I believe to relate to his memories. Everything feels like an illusion because he has been engineered to believe a certain thing for years. And now that he knows the truth, his whole world felt distorted, but he knows that no matter what, Maria is there for him, supporting him in his hardest moments. There are some lines that are quite hard to understand. Could be interpreted as either Shadow feeling like he's losing Maria, or foreshadowing his eventual death. In general, the song is quite hard to fully understand. The lyrics are very faded and spread out, and the lines don't align with the sentences. As in, the sentences start and end in the middle of how the lines are sung. I'd also like to add that the fight itself serves as a great representation of what Shadow is currently facing in the story. Shadow has to fight all the wrong he has caused, almost bringing Earth demise. Fighting the Bio-Lizard is him fighting his old self, both literally, as the Bio-Lizard is a prototype of him, and figuratively, as he's fighting against everything he did early in the story. Supporting Me fits perfectly the deeper meaning of this boss fight. In Sonic Forces, Episode Shadow, the Black Hedgehog is infiltrating Eggman's facility and planning to destroy it. After he kills Jackal defense squad that Eggman hired, he comes across their leader and absolutely annihilates him, calls him weak and pathetic, then leaves. The leader of the Jackal squad breaks down the idea of being weak and is granted a new power by Eggman in one of the Phantom Ruby. He's now known as Infinite. An undetermined amount of time later, Rouge warns Shadow that they detected Eggman activity in a seemingly inconspicuous area. After traveling through the city, he meets up once again with Infinite, who seemingly sends him into Green Hill. This is when you finally get to play the level Virtual Reality, the third and final stage of Shadow's DLC, which is where our second remix of Supporting Me plays. Just as last time, I believe the context is important to understand why Supporting Me was used as a backing track. First off, the obvious parallel between Shadow and Infinite, both working for Eggman during the event of the debut game. But that's where they're meant to be branching off, because while Shadow eventually turns to a side of good, Infinite never does. In a way, he represents what Shadow could have become if he never remembered Maria's promise. Just like last time, Supporting Me is used to contrast Shadow with himself, or in this case, someone that is meant to look like himself. It's important to notice how the first and second part of the verse are inverted, almost like Infinite is working backwards compared to Shadow. Could this time be referring to the effect of the Phantom Ruby, as I believe this level is nothing more than an illusion created by Infinite in order to trick Shadow, although it is quite hard to tell due to the storytelling. It's also repeated multiple times, almost as Shadow is completely lost in mind. He has no idea where time starts or ends, stuck in an endless loop of this virtual reality. This version is quite interesting, because as it turns out, it doesn't have any lyrics. Until the OST release in December, which most likely will have the lyrics as they were present in one of the trailers, all I have to go off of is the in-game version. But I believe the omission of the lyrics is completely intentional. In the context of the story of Shadow Generations, they don't make any sense. He doesn't have to hurry anymore. He doesn't have to redeem himself after nearly setting up the Earth to explode. The Bio-Lizard isn't a reflection of himself anymore. He's so far removed from his past. This is nothing but a meaningless beast, a representation of something he has long forgotten. And so all that is left is the unrivaled determination of a Shadow who has lived and learned.